Do you want to build muscle and endurance while also losing fat? But Brian, I thought that was impossible. It's not. Well, my name's Brian, and I'm a lifter that started training hybrid less than 6 months ago. Over the last 14 weeks, I've been able to do it, and I want to show you guys how to do it too. So let's get into it. Ask anybody out there, and they'll tell you that you can't gain or maintain your muscle while losing fat. That if you're losing fat, you will also be losing a little bit of muscle. But that's not really true. There are ways that we can maintain or even gain a little bit of muscle while losing fat and building endurance. I should know, back in January, I was 192 pounds, around 25 to 26% body fat, and I couldn't even run a mile. Fast forward about 4 months, and I'm down to 176 pounds, sitting around 16% body fat. I'm now running a lot further and a lot faster than I was in January, and I've maintained, if not gained, a little bit of muscle. So how can you do it? Let's talk about what I did, and then we can apply that to your training block. So the first thing we have to talk about is nutrition. Let's talk about what fat is, so then we can break down how to lose it. But before we start talking about fat, we need to understand everyone's favorite subject, what a calorie is. A calorie is a unit of energy equivalent to the heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. In other words, a calorie is just a form of measurement to measure energy. And everything we eat, it has calories. And every day, our body uses energy. Everything from normal bodily function like breathing, our heart beating, temperature regulation, to how much we move, how active we are, even if we're twiddling our thumbs. The total amount of energy that we use in one day is called our total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE. And this is primarily made up of our BMR, which is our basal metabolic rate, or just the energy needed to function. Then on top of that, we have our NEAT, which is our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So how much energy you're using just walking around, walking from your car, walking around the store, tapping a pen, texting people, all of that. Then we have our exercise activity thermogenesis, which is how much energy we're moving when we exercise, whether that's running, cardio, lifting weights, any sort of exercise activity. And lastly, and the smallest one is called TEF. It's our thermic effect of food. Pretty much when our body breaks down food, it does require a small amount of energy to do so, but this is a really small portion of our TDEE. Our bodies are really good at surviving, and they know that there may be one day that we don't have food, or we eat less than we burn. So it stores the excess energy until our bodies need to tap into that to survive, and it stores this in the way of fat. So to make our bodies use that excess energy, aka burning fat, we need to make sure that we are putting out more energy than we are taking in per day. And you'll hear this be called calories in, calories out, or CICO, CICO, different things people will call it, but it is how we lose fat. So let's say that you burn 1,800 calories just functioning throughout the day. Then through your non-exercise activity thermogenesis is another 500. Then we do another 300 exercising, and then another 100 with your body breaking down the food you eat that day. That would be how much energy we would require to not lose or gain weight. And to lose fat, we have two options. We can increase the amount that we're burning, we can decrease the amount that we're eating, or we can do both. If we increase by a little bit, decrease by a little bit, it creates a pretty big calorie deficit that adds up. And you can go online to any TDEE calculator and input your height, your weight, your gender, and your age, and get a pretty good estimate for how many calories you burn per day. And then a good approach would be to increase that number by being more active, getting more steps throughout your day, exercising, as well as eating a little bit less than that. And you want to create about a 500 to 1,000 calorie deficit per day. And over time, this will translate to 1 to 2 pounds of fat loss per week. And doing that will make you lose fat, but it can also make you lose muscle. And so to maintain our muscle during that, we need two things. We need to make sure that we're getting about 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight to maintain our muscle. This gives our body the tools to be able to hold on to that muscle and to just tap into our fat stores. But we also have to make sure we're using our muscle. I'm sure you've all heard the term use it or lose it, and that is very true when in a calorie deficit. So what's the best training approach to maintain our muscle? Well, let's look over what the bodybuilders are doing. See, these guys are trying to have as much muscle and as little fat as possible. And what they do is called hypertrophy training. I've talked about hypertrophy training in a previous video, so go watch that if you want a full breakdown on different training styles and how to do hypertrophy. But to summarize, we have to be lifting weights, and we're going to be lifting in the 8 to 12 rep range, around 80% of our 1 rep max. And when we do this hypertrophy training mixed with our protein, it's going to allow our body to hang on to muscle. Couple that with the 500 to 1,000 calorie deficit, and now we're looking at losing fat while also maintaining that muscle. And if you're untrained or a beginner at training, you may actually be able to increase muscle while losing that fat. Even if you've never really locked in on your nutrition, but you've been training, you still can gain that muscle and get another round of that newbie gains while dropping fat. So how exactly did I lose 16 pounds while maintaining my muscle and building endurance? I broke down my training split in a previous video as well, but I will recap it for you. So I run 3 days in the gym and 3 days running. And what that looks like for me, one is a push day. So that's going to be our bench pressing, our chest press, our triceps, our shoulders. I run a pull day, which is going to be mostly back and biceps. And then I run a leg day, an all around leg day where I hit quads, hamstrings, calves, glutes. And then for my runs, my 3 runs are a long run to improve my endurance, a tempo run that is aimed at increasing my speed over a longer distance. I usually do 2 miles. And then I just added interval training aimed at increasing my all around speed. And this running approach has allowed me to go from not even running a mile to running a 9-minute mile and hitting 5 miles on my long runs. And even though these numbers may not be impressive to a runner, doing this over 4 months is a huge win for me. And for my nutrition, I try to stay between 1,800 and 2,000 calories per day. This allows me to be in anywhere from a 700 to a 1,000 calorie deficit per day. And for my protein, because I'm 176 pounds, I try to get anywhere from 150 to 176 grams of protein per day. And I try to stay between 70 and 80 grams of fat per day because fat, while being the most calorically dense macro, is also vital for hormone production. And then I fill the rest in with carbs, typically be between 150 to 175 grams per day. So how can we apply my training program to you? Well, it depends on what your goals are. If you want to do a carbon copy of mine, then go take a look at my previous video and I break down all of my training. I'll typically hit 9 to 12 sets per muscle group per week, and this has actually been really successful for me. I've tried pushing more sets in this, but I found I've had more success in that 9 to 12 sets per week. If you don't care about endurance at all and you are solely focused on losing fat and maintaining muscle, then I recommend doing a PPL, push pull legs, twice per week. I recommend starting with different muscle groups on those days. So for example, on your first push day of the week, you may want to prioritize your chest. So that'll look like hitting your chest press, your bench press, anything chest related early on in your workout, then switching over to your triceps and your shoulders. That way you're able to get the most out of your chest and then finish up with those triceps, even though your triceps and your shoulders are going to be a little bit fatigued. And then on the second push day per week, I recommend doing the opposite. Start with your triceps and your shoulders so they get the work when they're fresh, and then finish off with chest. But if you're like me and you wanted to maintain your muscle while losing fat and also build endurance, I recommend doing 3 days in the gym in a PPL split and 3 days running. This will allow you to still hit the volume necessary to maintain your muscle while also giving you the volume needed to improve your endurance. And by only doing 3 days in the gym and 3 days of runs, you won't get under recovered as easily. And for your nutrition, I recommend going over to a TDEE calculator, and most of them will break down what your BMR is and what you are if you're sedentary or if you're more active. And once you have what your TDEE is, increase your activity level by a little bit. This can be getting more steps done throughout the day. This can be longer sessions in the gym, more sets, more cardio. There's endless opportunities to get more activity in throughout the day. Then pick a calorie goal that you know that you can hit, whether that's 1,800, which is what I eat, or if you want to go up to 2,000 if you're burning 2,700 calories per day, and you'll still have a nice deficit there. Make sure your protein is at 0.7 to 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, and train hard in the gym. And these will get you the results that you're looking for. And you may have to do some tweaking with those numbers. A lot of people recommend weighing yourself every day and looking at the overall trend. For me, I prefer to weigh in 3 to 4 times per week while also looking at that trend. But if I notice that the trend is maintaining, I know I need to lower my calorie goals. Or if it's lowering too fast, I maybe need to up them a little bit. And when it comes to food, you want to make sure you're tracking all of your food. This will allow you to make sure you are eating exactly what you think you are. Most calorie trackers, you can look back at different days as well. For this cut, I've been tracking through my notes app what my starting weight and my ending weight was, what my average calorie intake was, what my average calorie deficit was, and then some notes about how I felt. And this has given me some really good data that I can look back on and see weeks that I lost a lot of weight, what I was doing, and weeks that I plateaued, what I was doing there as well. And that's really it. Just like anything, the more you do it and the more cutting cycles you do, the better you'll get at it. And there will be some trial and error in it. And while losing fat may not be the easiest thing to do, it is fairly simple. Make sure to like this video and comment what your favorite cutting meal is. For me, I live and die on my turkey and provolone sandwiches that I eat every day for lunch. And make sure to subscribe if you want to see more hybrid athlete content and more of me breaking stuff down. I really want to grow this channel so that more people can see more hybrid related stuff, especially from a beginner's point of view. Let's go build something great.